Hello and welcome to the BC Design channel. Today I'm making a bow saw for Mitch Peacock's Toolmake18. I'm going to start off with my two end pieces, which will be the handles of the saw. I have to mark the midpoint here on both pieces. That's where the bolt's going to go through to hold the blade in. And then I also need to mark the center point of the piece so I can cut a curve or a hole for the saw blade to fit into. I've marked one end of both of the handles all the way around, and I marked the middle where I'm going to cut the curve, and that's the point where I'm going to drill the hole for the bolt to go through to hold the blade in. Since I don't have a drill press, I'm going to use my Lego bricks to try and keep this hole as square as possible. It's not too bad. I've both pieces drilled now to cut the curve. I'm going to be joining the middle piece of the saw to the handles with a mortise and tenon. So I've marked out the tenon on this piece, and Paul Seller says to curve the top of the tenon so that when you slide it into the handle and you put tension on the string on the top of the handle, it allows the handles to move together slightly, which will give your blade more tension. I got that curve simply by moving a tin up until it meets the edges of the tenon and then tracing around it, and I did that on both sides. So next I have to cut it. When you're cutting this one, you need to try and follow the curve, so don't let the blade drop the whole way to the line. Try and follow it around like that. I need to cut following that curve around, so I'll take a few different cuts and then I'll trim to the line with the chisel. So now we just need to follow the line with the chisel and clean that up. So I followed the line around cleaned it up, tied to the line as good as I could get it. Now I need to do the other side. I have my mortise marked out on the handle piece. So now I have to chisel out the waste and hope that the tenon fits into the curved piece nice and snug with no gaps. I'd highly recommend this Ruston's small job gloss paint. Not for painting with, but for making curves. So I've got most of that chiseled out. I wasn't able to do it with just the chisel on its own because it's a little bit too small, the chisel that I have. So it wasn't really cutting great. So I drilled it out down to my line and then removed the rest with the chisels. Now I have to make some cuts along this shoulder here and then try and carefully chisel that out and keep the circular shape. So that tip from Paul Sellers worked fairly well. None of them are really gone below the line. I just have to clean it up a bit now. Same on the other side. There's the joint together. Few small gaps. I'm not too worried about them, I'm fairly happy with it. The whole idea of this joint is that it's able to move slightly so that when you torque the string on top, it tightens the blade in the bottom. So this should work properly, which is good. I put the saw together for a quick test. It works really well. When I tension it, you can see that the two handles move in towards each other, and this tensions the blade. The curved mortise and tenons work very well. I need to shape the handles next and make a new tension stick for the centre. I'll try and use a piece of contrasting wood if I can find a bit in here in the workshop. I sketched out the shape onto the handle there, just making the grip a bit more ergonomic and putting a little indent for the string to catch in. I'm going to use a spoke shave to shape most of this. This notch on top is where the string is going to go into to put the tension onto the saw. So I have to cut this out now as well. I'm going to do a few relief cuts, chisel it out, and then the rest is going to be finished off with the spoke shave. Now I just clean it up. To clean up that cut that I just made, I'm using a round tube that used to have a drill bit in it. Wrapped some sandpaper around it. I'm just using it to get rid of all the chisel and saw marks. It cleans it up nicely. So that's it done there. Now when I put on my wing nut, the bolt won't be able to turn. I've chamfered the edges all around the middle piece. Now I'm going to put a chisel stop mark all the way around both sides of the circle. Then I'm going to carve around the circle and pare out a small bit of this material just so the circle stands out proud. So I'm finished shaping the saw. Now I'm just going to put a beeswax and oil finish on it and string it up and see how it cuts. I'm going to use this mineral wax and oil finish. Just apply a good bit of it on. It soaks in nice and quick. It doesn't take too long to dry. I just strung the saw. All you do is loop the cord round the two indents that I made in the top of the handles, tie a knot and burn it closed. Then I used a piece of maple to make the tensioning rod, just for some contrast with the walnut. And I think it looks fairly well. All in all, I'm very happy with how the saw turned out.